Hello everyone, I am Dr. Phoenix, and we are now at the end of our epic adventure through time and space of Series 1 of Doctor Who. So, as fit into the end of this series, I am now going to rank all these stories from my least favourite to favourite. Please bear in mind this list is my opinion, and if you disagree, you're disagreeing with a phoenix, and in which case, rude. But ultimately, everyone's opinions are different, so that's fine. Let's get this started, shall we? In 10th place, we have The Long Game. The Long Game, to me, is an episode which I see the importance for as it connects to the finale, but I personally can't get into because I don't like Adam as a character. He does mistake after mistake in this episode. This plot is a bit clunky in some spots, and it seems like this whole episode is built around to make Rose seem like a perfect companion. But then you go on to the Monster of the Week, in which the Jagrafess does nothing to the story at all. If anything, the main villain is the editor, who is the Jagrafess's assistant, I guess. The characters in this episode, like the side characters, Kafka and Suki don't really do much to the story, and there's no one else that really plays an important part to this story. I do look back at the review that I'd done for The Long Game, in which I believe I was a bit too harsh with the ranking. I probably could give it a bit of a higher score. However, it still stays to be my least favourite of Series 1. Moving on to 9th place, we have The End of the World. So this was the first journey in the TARDIS that the Doctor took Rose on, and it's an alright destination. However, nothing much happens. I understand it's a case of gently getting the new viewers and Rose into the idea of space travel and time travel. However, the plot just seems a bit basic for me, where it's a base under siege. The good thing that The End of the World does have over The Long Game is that you can tell that most of the budget for Series 1 went into this episode. And also, Cassandra, while as being an okay villain, she's more entertaining than the Jagrafess, so that's one thing. And calling a jukebox an iPod is now something that I would do on the regular, which confuses a lot of people, but I find it funny just to see people confused. Moving on to 8th place, we have Aliens of London and World War III. Out of all the two parts in this series, it was obvious this one was going to be the worst one. And the only reason why I put it over The End of the World is because the maturity of this story far exceeds the creativity that was put into The End of the World. You have great side characters in this one. Mickey and Jackie do great. Harriet Jones was fantastic. And the Slovene, if you ignore their farting that they do, is actually an interesting family of villains. Ultimately, it is the farting aliens that pull it down. Other than that, though, it's a solid story with a few clunky parts here and there. The Space Pig, I'm not a big fan of, but it's still good. I would still say it's still good. Moving on to 7th place, we have Rose. This was the debut episode of Series 1, and it was a solid episode. Bringing the Autons back first was a great choice, in my opinion, because they're such an unsuspecting monster. And as I said in my review, it's a better choice than Omega or Sutek. And then it's done in Rose's perspective, where you get introduced to everything related to Doctor Who at Rose's pace. Great episode. What pulls it down is ultimately, I do prefer the others more, but that's not a bad thing. I do believe this is a good episode, but I just have to rank the others higher. 6th place, we have Boomtown. This episode was going to be in 8th place, actually, but after a rewatch, ignoring the Mayor of Cardiff part of it, everything else is brilliant. The small rivalry that Jack and Mickey had, which then turned into a great group of characters with the Doctor and Rose, just having a good time. And then As soon as the Doctor finds out the Slovene is back, they're on a mission, they mean business. And then after they caught the Slovene, you have the fantastic scene of Margaret and the Doctor in that restaurant. Margaret trying to escape, trying to kill the Doctor, but also begging for him to let her go. Would I say is the best scene of the episode? Yes, but that scene, along with the atmosphere that was built up throughout the episode after Margaret was caught, is what makes this episode the 6th best of Series 1 to me. We're now at the halfway point, and in 5th place we have The Unquiet Dead. To some people, this is a boring episode, but to me, this is a gem. It's very similar to A Christmas Carol in a way, which I believe I mentioned in my review. If I didn't, I'm mentioning it now. It starts off with Charles Dickens being in denial about the whole thing, about ghosts walking around. It sounds preposterous, and it does. But then, seeing is believing. And he still denies it at first, but as the episode continued, he became more and more likeable, and kind of had an awakening at one point. Very similar to A Christmas Carol, Charles Dickens' journey throughout the episode is. Gwyneth is a great character as well, and the Doctor and Rose, this is where I see where they cemented their chemistry together, where they bounced off each other quite well. The Gelf is a forgettable villain, but is still a solid one regardless. I wouldn't say they're perfect, but they're memorable to me because they don't exactly have a physical form, and not many monsters have a physical form, so for the Gelf to not have one, I think that's what makes them stand out to me. In 4th place, we have Dalek. Dalek is one of the most popular episodes in Series 1, and that simply comes down to the atmosphere that's built from the very start until the Dalek's reveal, and when the Dalek breaks out of its cage, it goes from a somber atmosphere to all guns blazing action. Then you also go back to that somber atmosphere where it shows the darkness of the Doctor, how great of an actor Christopher Eccleston is, and then just seeing how the Dalek sees another Dalek inside of the Doctor's hatred, the Dalek's whole demeanour around him. Dalek is 4th place because whilst I love this episode, I have attachment to it, ultimately though, the other 3 I just prefer more. In 3rd place, we have Father's Day. Father's Day is an episode which can pull at the heartstrings a lot and is emotional. I mentioned in my review that Rose goes through the 5 stages of grief in this episode, and you can see it. I think having this episode placed after a long game is a genius move as well, where you see how good of a companion Rose is compared to Adam, but then you go to this episode where she makes mistakes as well. And that was a good move in my opinion, because ultimately no one's perfect. As the story goes on, you end up in the church where you're in there for almost the entire episode, and the Doctor's tries so hard to save everyone, fix Rose's mistake whilst keeping her dad alive. And it's heartbreaking to find out that when the Doctor's not there, and Pete realises that the only way to fix everything is for him to die, he accepts his fate, says goodbye to his loved ones, and even Jackie was upset about it because, yeah, they're married, but throughout the entire episode you would think Jackie didn't want to be in this marriage. And it's emotional. It tugs at the heartstrings. This was my 2nd favourite episode, and that's purely because of the story, the plot, the Reapers were good as well, and Rose's acting. But then the now 2nd place episode took over due to my recent review on it. All in all, Father's Day is a fantastic episode, so emotional and fantastic at the same time. In 2nd place, we have Bad Wolf and The Parting of the Ways. This episode, I mentioned in my review, is a bit dated with the early 2000s game shows being put in the middle of Bad Wolf, but with that aside, you got what is an excellent Dalek story. The Daleks being at the darkest they've ever been, actually kind of merging themselves with humans just to raise another army. And then you go on to the other characters. You got Linda with a Y. She's sweet, she's nice, and it's tragic about her fate. And then we go on to Jack. Jack was the action man of this episode. He earned some awesome points in my book there. Rose did fantastic as well, being the bad wolf and saving her doctor. And then we go on to the Doctor himself. For this episode to be the Doctor's swan song, it's incredible to see because you see so much conviction, so much anger, sadness, grief, everything coming from Christopher Eccleston in this episode. He puts everything on the line for this, and he does an amazing job. And this episode is the one I watch and think how good Series 2 could have been with Christopher Eccleston as the Doctor. But, of course, there's only one more episode for me to talk about, and that is The Empty Child and the Doctor Dancers. Now, I remember when I first watched this episode, I couldn't actually finish it because I was young, I was scared of the empty child, and it was too much for a young Phoenix. But as I grew older and matured, I rewatched it and remembered the great atmosphere set up in The Empty Child. And then seeing it progress onwards into the Doctor Dancers with the atmosphere being just as good and the characters being enjoyable to watch, especially Jack. And Nancy was a great side character as well. The Empty Child is a fantastic monster. Not even a monster, let's be honest. And then you got Rose just being there. That's probably the downside of the episode. Rose does not really do much apart from just be a damsel in distress. But the Doctor in this episode, his acting was on point. Being able to show off his moves and cure everyone from, well, being a gas mask zombie, it's one thing. But then afterwards, where he's just shouting, "Everybody lives," and then going around with a smile spread wide across his face. It's great to see, and I feel goosebumps when I see the scene, and I feel so happy for the Doctor, because he's able to save everybody. It's not every day the Doctor can save everybody, and when he can, you can't help but smile with him. And with that, that's the ranking. It's been fun, this review in Series 1 with you guys, and I had so many plans. I was going to review Series 2, see the werewolf, see Krillitanes, the Cybermen, even Absorbaloff. I was going to see them, review about them with you guys, and I was even planning to delve into the classic series. And maybe I will, but not like this. My time has come. Time to see what my next form shall bring. I will see you in Series 2.